Welcome into the Simmons Scoop with Chad Simmons. We have the director of recruiting here at Rivals ready to go. Today is Thursday, July 31st. I am your host, Josh Newberg. Welcome in. Before we get going, because we got a lot to talk about, hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. Look at this thing. We almost got it to 100K. I think we can get there before the season if you guys help me out. Jump on board, hit subscribe. All right. It's time to talk about these flips, Chad. We got hundreds of commitments going down in the spring and summer. It's been a fun commitment season, but we all know what happens after commitment season. We're right into flip season. So let's start off with one that we've been talking about on this channel all summer long. Number one wide receiver Tristan Keys. He committed to LSU early in the spring. But he took the reason we've been talking about, we're not just talking about him to talk about him, Chad. He took a full slate of summer OVs. So where are we at watching Tristan Keys recruitment as we head into the fall?
Yeah, I say where we're at is where does he go next? We know we expect him not to spend every weekend in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, or every weekend in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at LSU. I think Tennessee, for me, is probably, if there is one school to watch closely or closest, I would say the Vols. I mean, he's close to that staff with Kendall Pope, Josh Heupel, close to quarterback commit Faison Brandon. We expect Tennessee to push extremely hard to work him and get him on campus throughout the season this fall. And then along with Tennessee, Texas A&M is right there. Holman Wiggins not giving up on Tristan Keys. He's been to College Station 4 or 5 times. We think he goes back at least for one game this fall. Miami's hanging around as well. But look, we don't think Keys' recruitment is done. He's committed. There's been reported a new maybe NIL deal with LSU. He feels good about that, but schools aren't going to give up, and we don't think Keys shuts things down anytime soon.
Yeah, this has got to be deja vu all over again for LSU fans. Remember, the number one wide receiver in America was committed to LSU last year, DeCorian Moore. He backed off that commitment right before summer. The thing, though, with Tristan Keys, Chad, is we hear a lot about this in the comment section. You know, Tristan Keys hasn't decommitted. I mean, he took all these visits. He went everywhere he could possibly go, but he still remains committed to the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, LSU's doing all they can to keep him happy, keep his family happy, keep him in this class. I mean, he's close with commitments there at LSU. He knows the staff obviously really well. I mean, we mentioned like NIL, that's a big thing. I mean, all schools are going to compete there as well, and LSU's doing a great job, I'm told, and with that as well. So, look, I mean, there's no signs of him right now. There's been a little bit of chatter. Could he decommit and open things up? Nothing substantial on my end to put a lot into that right now. I think, you know, as everything points right now, he stays committed, goes into the season, LSU commit, and just continues to explore the options to make sure LSU is where he wants to be.
Yeah. Hey, LSU fans got to feel good that he remains committed heading into the season. All right, let's move on to another 5-star wide receiver. This is another one that made a lot of noise when he committed, Calvin Russell. He chose Syracuse over Michigan and Miami. Really, is Michigan and Miami in the end. There's a lot of other teams recruiting him, but he's a Miami legacy recruit, meaning he had family at Miami. So is this recruitment over? Is Syracuse locked in with 5-star wide receiver Calvin Russell?
Yeah, I'd say far from it, Josh. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of buzz around Michigan, you know, the day of leading up to that commitment. He chose Syracuse, Fran Brown, the team that's been looked at for a while as Miami's biggest competition, you know, for the guy in their backyard at Miami Northwestern, an elite wide receiver, a 2-sports star. You know, he has some basketball offers as well. His mom's in the Miami, you know, Hurricane Hall of Fame. So like you said, he's a legacy. There's connections there to the local school. And we've been told that Miami's going to do all they can to flip him when it comes crunch time in December. So look, Michigan could try to stay in this, and they probably will. But we think Miami is definitely Syracuse's biggest threat these coming months.
All right, let's move on to Ohio State. 4-star safety commitment, Blaine Bradford, chose the Buckeyes over LSU early in this cycle. But the reason he's on this list is because he's located. He goes to high school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Blaine Bradford, longtime Ohio State commitment. Why is he on flip watch heading into the season?
Yeah, and this is really the long flip watch. Not necessarily mean they're going to flip like right now or even in August or something like that. But between now and December, we feel these are guys to watch closely, and we think just the obvious with Blaine Bradford. I mean, he goes to Catholic high school there in
Hmm.
Baton Rouge, a few minutes from LSU. His brother plays at LSU. We know he's going to be at games, if nothing else, to support his brother as an LSU Tiger. We think he ends up in that recruit section a time or two as well. He'll probably have some meetings with the coaching staff, Frank Wilson, Brian Kelly, the staff there at LSU as well. And look, it was somewhat of a surprise when he committed to Ohio State. You have to love their staff development coming off a national championship, what they do in the secondary under Tim Walton in that group. And now Matt Patricia, an NFL guy, coming back to Ohio State as a new defensive coordinator. So a lot of things still help Ohio
Hmm.
State keep Blaine Bradford in this class. But there's a lot of things to watch and really play into favor with LSU being a threat to flip him in the end.
All right. Now, this next name on the list, it's no surprise. We're talking Auburn four-star edge Hezekiah Harris. It feels like he's been on Flip Watch a few times already this cycle. What are we watching on Harris heading into the season?
Yeah, really the same stuff we've talked about, Josh, in the past. He's a guy that keeps taking visits and keeps communicating with different schools. Specifically, again, Tennessee's been a hot name with Tristan Keys, had the hot name with Hezekiah Harris. I mean, Florida at one time was viewed as a competition for Auburn as well. But again, like Blaine Bradford, I mean, he has a brother at Auburn University. Auburn's the in-state school. They have him committed right now, trying to hold off that out-of-state school, another SEC program
Yeah.
like Tennessee. There's some optimism in Knoxville. They can get this done in the end. I feel like it'll be tough. If Auburn has a pretty good year, builds off the season last year, wins a few close games, gets to that 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 win mark. If they show improvement, I think it'll be tough to flip him. But if Auburn struggles and battles that 500 season on the plains, and those games go the same way they went last year when they're close, they fall and lose those games, I think Tennessee could to become a real true competitor here in the end.
Yeah, I thought at some point over the summer I thought he actually flipped to Tennessee, but he hasn't yet. So we'll keep on watching that one. All right, I hate to do this to him, but Sac State four-star wide receiver, the first four-star commitment in Sac State history, Xavier McDonald. He's on our flip watch list now. Chad, he's from the state of Mississippi, committed to Sacramento State about a month ago. It made a lot of noise, but why is Xavier McDonald on our flip watch list?
Yeah, it made a lot of noise, and it really kind of came somewhat out of nowhere, maybe like 24, 48 hours leading up to that commitment. Started hearing some buzz there. I don't even think Ole Miss, the staff, felt that noise was real until he committed to Sacramento State early in July. Look, Ole Miss is not going to go away. They were the school trending. They were viewed as the team to beat most of the summer, going back to the spring. Other schools have been involved from LSU, from Tennessee. Different schools are on the list, and he continues to communicate. But look, Sac State did a great job, getting him committed, getting him on campus for an official visit. He knows a commitment in this class. So, look, I just think in the end, it's going to be very tough for them to keep him
Mm-hmm.
committed and get him signed in December. He's a Mississippi kid. Um, I just think Ole Miss is going to do all they can to keep him home and change his mind. I think obviously he'll be in Oxford for games this season, easy to get to. We'll see if he gets to Sacramento State for games as well. But look, Ole Miss is a real threat and
Yeah.
definitely one to watch extremely closely these coming months.
All right. Miami four-star linebacker commitment, Jordan Campbell, South Florida recruit, committed to Miami for a while, but there's always been buzz around his name and other programs. Who's coming after Jordan Campbell, Miami four-star linebacker commitment?
Yeah, if there's one school, I watch, it's Nebraska. Missouri's been in this,
Wow.
Auburn's been in this. He's been to campus and all that. He's been to Nebraska 2 times. yet to take an official to Lincoln. They're working to get him on campus this fall for an official visit. I see Nebraska right now as the biggest competition for Miami. He says all the right stuff about the commitment that he's just taking visits to take visits, just keep communication with, building those relationships. But look, we feel that there's real interest in Nebraska, maybe Missouri, as well. He has Derek Nicholson, the old linebackers coach at Miami, now at Missouri. So there's a connection there. He knows people in this Nebraska class. He likes that staff. He sees a path to play early in Lincoln. So for me, if Nebraska gets him on campus for an official visit this fall, this season, they become even more of a school to watch for this Miami commit.
Wow, how about that? I thought you were going to say maybe Florida State, Auburn even, but Nebraska. But it makes sense with Derek Nicholson being there. I didn't realize that. So that's one to watch for sure. All right, Chad, we're talking about all these flips. Name one that could be coming soon.
I think two come to mind. And they're both in the state of Tennessee. Shavar Young, a defensive back committed to Clemson almost a year ago in August. And then Carson Sneed committed to Tennessee, the in-state school, almost a year ago in August as well. So I think both those guys, starting with Shavar Young, there's a lot of smoke around SMU being a strong competitor here late in the summer. Look, Clemson doesn't lose guys. They don't flip a lot of guys. Clemson's fighting this one. They're very much aware of what's going on, the communication with Shavar Young. Other schools too, like Michigan, Notre Dame, have been rumored in this, but everything points to SMU being the school to watch. We thought a decision would be made either to flip to SMU or another school or to stay with Clemson. This has been going on for about a week and a half. So we think something will happen soon, regardless of whether he stays at Clemson and shuts things down or makes a flip decision. Carson Sneed, another one, picking up some speed here with that recruitment, where it's been rumored throughout the spring and summer. One time it was Ole Miss, then it was North Carolina, then it was Florida. A lot of buzz again around North Carolina and Bill Belichick. They have his brother on campus now as a transfer. So there's a connection there with the family. He's been to Chapel Hill a couple of times, and we think something happens relatively soon in this recruitment too. We're leaning more towards a flip decision between Florida and North Carolina based on what we're hearing over Tennessee. So Shavar Young, a DB looking at SMU that's committed to Clemson, and a tight end Carson Sneed, longtime Tennessee commit, looking hard at North Carolina and Florida.
All right. Well, it's been an exciting summer. You guys talk to us in the comments section. Commitment season's been a wild one. Just statistically speaking, we know flip season will be here before long. I mean, the game's got to get played. These recruits are impressionable. So talk to us about Chad's picks. Do you guys agree with some of these flips? Are there flips out there that we are not mentioning? Let us know. Comment section below.